6 years already. Well, actually, today's going to be a little bit different. Today's my birthday. Today is also going to be the scale of Patrick Ashburn's scaling. This is going to have a lot more assumptions than actual anything concrete. This is as close as I can get it with all 6 novels memorized as much as I can actually get with obviously assumptions because I'm not giving any numbers as nothing is actually really given. So, y'all enjoy. First, we need to start off with how the world actually works. This is basically the manga explaining it, and along with the lore. This is more of a plot point, but this essentially gives us what we can start off with. Adolf is level 60, and this would put him around the same with the first king, the demon king, a max level, not a max level, but a level 60 Alicia, a level 60 Patrick also hits this, and I believe that's all the characters except for the monsters, but we're not really given anything past that. And they're all within the same Mach speeds, because that's the speed that is referenced whenever the first king and Yumiella fight. Yumiella essentially can just sit there all day long and just kind of dodge him. So a level 62, a level 99 character is essentially going to be a perception bliss. Although that doesn't actually scale anywhere. Here's the different types of magics. Patrick himself is more of a earth and wind, and Patrick would be a swordsman as well. It does seem like within 30 levels of somebody, it is not impossible to beat them. Although he wouldn't have regeneration or any of these things, but at least this would be notable. See how perception bliss wasn't actually a thing for Adolf, as he saw it despite, level 60 versus level 99. And at this point, Patrick wouldn't even be level 20, but he should be around there. Oh, he shouldn't be past level 20, he should be around there. This is a little bit odd, but he did see the lasers as well as Rita, along with the fire, and they basically didn't see her get hurt. At level 60, he should be able to do something that he has done whenever he was lower. It does seem like the perception, or like seeing the world around him, is accelerated to a massive degree as well. Although clearly this is a difference between many levels, as we do get that confirmation here. After his training arc, Patrick was able to hit level 60, and his only 2 notable feats that I could catch was him making this wall during a war. Obviously, this wouldn't be his only wall or only good feat. He also caught this dragon. This doesn't really show or put him anywhere, but he can catch people who are flying, and he can make big walls. During the second novel, we do see that Patrick did hit level 80, so he got 20 levels after he got out of the academy. Although we don't know the true difference, there is a difference regardless of level 40 and 60 and 20, obviously. With level 40s being still considered one of the most powerful things in the kingdom, it's hard to say if it's just worldwide or only within this kingdom. But regardless, level 40 is still very high and very powerful. So bodyguards are not needed. Patrick at this time would have no actual issues taking on multiple assailants, despite those assailants being essentially peasants, possibly even starved. But you're still outnumbered and they have weapons. This would be a problem with the country being too poor, but he uses detective skills to get information out of people who didn't really want to talk. Despite Yumiella's understanding and abilities to fight, a Dullahan versus Patrick, she actually still gives the Dullahan the win, either off of affinity or some other merit that we don't actually know, but her word can at least be trusted, but it's not a complete stomp for Patrick. It'd just be tricky for him to win. Although with the amped staff, Patrick was able to make a really big wall that Yumiella had trouble looking over and seeing the edge of. And after a couple of hours, he was able to put enough earth into the lower part of a black hole from Yumiella, and that took a few hours. So we can assume that with a affinity disadvantage and enough time, a level 80 could match a level 99 with a affinity advantage amped. Although we don't know whether or not dark magic is going to use the same properties as black hole for all of its attacks, we do know at least Patrick is able to not only keep up with Yumiella, comprehend her situation and what she has to go through, and is able to comprehend a multiverse, and is able to at least cheer up Yumiella, although I'm sure that's not too difficult with his position. But he can as well assist her, which would mean that he could keep up with somebody while being level 80, going at it faster than light speeds. Although neither would actually have the ability to simply turn time back, as that was very specific, but they could at least comprehend this. Still being level 80, they should be able to throw around boulders that are bigger than them, although this doesn't really say much for how much I've already stated, but at least you can say they're not necessarily glass cannons. We do know that in the fourth novel that Patrick is higher level than his brother, although his brother shouldn't be that much stronger than an average soldier, or around level 20, and a level 20 should be around or within the ranges of a trained animal. Although a vague statement, we do know that Patrick does have some martial arts training. Although I believe this would only be with swords and not necessarily grappling. So just swordsmanship would be fine. And specifically, one-handed sword or a bastard sword. In the fourth novel, we do know that Patrick hits level 99. Patrick, being extremely proficient in wind magic, is able to keep up with Ryu, and Ryu was Yumiela's dragon that she birthed from the egg. It does seem like they would be able to exit Earth, which takes 33 Mach to actually exit Earth. Although the wind would actually stop being the argument after a certain point, and it would be just raw power, which Patrick acknowledges would be as very inefficient. This is the proof for this. Coming back from space, you reach there's a certain thing that happens that whenever you actually enter the atmosphere, you start becoming really hot. Without any armor or without any specified barriers, a level 99 character could potentially just survive coming back into a planet with no actual equipment and no actual spells or any armor. So some things that we can actually give Patrick would be that he could create something that is more than 50 miles long, and a level 99 character would be able to survive 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and Patrick would be able to at least affect something that is 45,000 feet in the air, if not build up to it, and if not, 6,500 feet is a safe assumption. Patrick, also at level 9, was able to realize that maintaining or manifesting wings out of her back, Yumiela was getting mad. This obviously exploded, and Patrick found a way out, despite never actually coming across such a situation before, and the gods themselves didn't know how to actually stop it. Patrick also does acknowledge that 1,001 soldiers would be too much for him to fight, though I feel like this is a very low estimate of his capabilities, seeing that what we have actually been given, such as the boulder that Yumiela throws around, Patrick and Yumiela essentially were unaffected by them, despite being the closest to the actual boulder when it fell. This is the chart that the anime and the web both use, and the light novel implies, with Yumiela being the strongest and Patrick being able to keep up with her. Essentially, this is kind of a list that we can use for Patrick, so he would be around Yumiela 2's or so abilities, seeing how Light was actually more afraid of Yumiela in general and not Patrick, as he said that he could just erase Patrick, although this might be just an affinity thing, or a magic type difference. At level 80 in the second volume, Patrick wasn't able to handle the shock waves sound waves that were that Ryu was making, despite Ryu not necessarily going his fastest. This was obviously after hitting level 60, so this would go into the debate of Mox versus Light. And there's plenty of instances of these. And these are just some of the ones I kept up with. And these are a few more notable ones. At level 60, Patrick making walls and stabbing dragons would fit just fine with this idea. That he was able to affect a very large area. I hope you all enjoyed. This was fun to make, and this probably is the last scaling for this verse.